So to start the process, select a topic. Once you have the topic, define your parameters. What are you trying to do with this training? Address that issue. What do I want them to do with the information? But give yourself some boundaries. If you think about it, we probably could have spent 8 hours today just on workplace violence. We could have really broke that out and done some more stuff with it. But you have to keep in mind, you've got a time limit on this. How much information can you give out? And what can you do with that information at the time? The other thing is you want to set the hook. And the hook is you want them to kind of understand what's in it for them. You want to answer that question for them because that's what they're asking you. What's in it for me? So when you first start out, that's what you want to set up. And so that's kind of what I did with setting that cautionary tale. So we've all gone through that really rough training that we really didn't appreciate or enjoy. Here's some things that you can think about going forward so that there's some additional ideas and stuff that you can help. If you're not the instructor, maybe you can help another instructor with. And to remember to plan those activities the best you can to support the goal of training. And you, again, addressing all 4 types of learners. And this is kind of difficult. This isn't an easy setup. It's something that you really have to think out. Don't forget the enthusiasm. I think that she mentioned it in the back when she was talking about the instructor and having the instructor really enthusiastic. If the instructor's enthusiastic, everyone else is going to become enthusiastic, because if the instructor isn't, oh boy, we're in for a long couple hours. Make eye contact. You have to connect with the folks. I joke all the time with everyone. Yeah, I want participation, and I joke with a lot of crowds that say, if nothing else, just look at me, smile from time to time, and nod your head. At least give me the indication that I'm connecting with you on some level. Yeah, on some level, even if it's a false facade, right? I just need to kind of get that feeling. But you need to make eye contact with them. And one of the things, when I first started, they said, well, if you can't make eye contact, at least look over their heads and make them think you're looking at them. Well, that doesn't work. I like to have eye contact. How else do you know if you're connecting with someone? If you can't look them in the eyes and you can't see, well, yeah, they're with me, or, I think I've lost a couple people in here, or things like that. You have to see people's body language and see how they're responding to things. But I will tell you that this will work against you at times, okay? In the fact that you're going to have me committed after I say this, but there's a little guy that I have keeping me on track in my head. So I'm having 2 conversations. When I present things to you guys, I got this little guy that's prompting me in the back of my head that's saying, don't forget this. By the way, this is coming up, and you got this going on. And, watch your time. Talking too long here. Keeps me on board, right? But at the same time, and this was up at Kalispell, I had a gal that came into the class, and she signed in, and then I'm looking at her and I go, I think I know her from somewhere. I don't remember exactly where, but I've dealt with a lot of organizations, and I'm going through this. I know her from somewhere. So where do I know her from? So this is going on my whole presentation. So as I'm looking around the room, I kept coming back to her and looking at her and making eye contact with everyone else. And finally, at the end of the class, when I'm passing out the certificates, she came up and got her certificate. And I said, by the way, do I know you from somewhere? Because I swear that I met you someplace else. And she goes, no, we do not know each other. I said, okay. And she says, and by the way, you freaked me out because you stared at me the whole time. She's never been back since either, by the way. So you have to be careful how much eye contact you're making. You're an equal share. You don't focus in on one person a little too much, right? Have fun and make it contagious. Enjoy yourself. Try and think of different things to do, different things that you can get the group excited about. Getting them involved in the process. If they're involved with you and they want to come along for the trip, you're a whole lot better off than if you don't, okay? So you want to make sure that it's fun, it's contagious. I mean, you think of different props that you can use. Of course, Gallagher was the sledge-o-matic, and he had his big box of toys, and he'd put stuff on, and he'd act out different things and skid it out and things like that. Props are good, but you have to be careful about props. And the one thing I will tell you about props is what? How many people watched a commercial where the commercial was fantastic and you thought, man, that was cute, that was funny, I really enjoyed the commercial. And then you look at your significant other and you go, by the way, what was it about? So you have to make sure if you use props that the props don't become the overriding issue. All right? And there's different things you can use. Wayne used to like to put a donut or a Bismarck donut. and it's raspberry filled. Put it between two blocks, and it looks like a disc between your vertebrae, And it shows when you lean forward how much pressure you're putting and things like that. And it really, it can give you it gives you something to play with. And he used to go around threatening people. So if you were half asleep, you wouldn't be by the time he's going around the room. But he did use a Hostess donut one time, and he said he got about 12 feet off of that puppy because he accidentally squeezed too hard, and it actually cleared and hit a nurse's uniform. So he had a cleaning bill on top of it. So use props and have a good time with them, but just be aware that, they can take away as much as they add, okay? I just had a coworker that just recently retired, and I really liked having her around because she kept track of my of my topics, and then she would always be on the lookout for additional information for me to work on to put in my presentation and stuff. And so she came up with, I was putting this one together, and she says, now you're doing training tips, right? And I said, yeah. And she said, by the way, here's a professional safety magazine. And she said, see the article? And it said, why telling stories is so important. And it is, because you relate back, don't you? You give them something concrete. You can give them the information, but if you can give them a story to relate to see how that information coincides with things, it really means much more information. So after I read the article, I went back to her and I said, who knew I was doing it right all along? But it's something that, again, you have to work at. And I do. I categorize stories. I've got stories in my head all the time that I will pull out at different times. I have my favorites, but I'm always on the lookout for new stories, things that people tell me, things that I can pull in, that I can make that I can relate to the training a little bit better. Okay? Use pictures. Now, I'll have to tell you, safety people are probably the worst at pictures. Not that we don't take good pictures. What kind of pictures do you think we use in safety? Say again? The gruesome ones, yeah, where someone's missing part of their hand, or after the fact, or like I'll leave here today, and if I see someone working 3 stories up without fall protection, guess where I'm stopping, right? And I'm going to have to interject myself into somebody's business, and I'll take pictures, and I may put those pictures into, a presentation, but what do those pictures represent? The right way to do it? Absolutely not. I'm going to say, here's how you should do it. And by the way, don't do it this way, right? Don't do it this way. That's not really the proper way to train. But in actuality, when you think about it, I'm a busy guy. I'm going from point A to point B. And if I have time to stop, I'll stop. But if someone's doing the job the right way, do I stop and take pictures? No. I got somebody doing it the right way. I don't have to stop. I feel comfortable, then I can just move on. It would be nice that if we stopped more often and tell people thanks for doing it the right way, though. It would reinforce that. But we don't always use pictures the right way. But using pictures does add to it, doesn't it? Because if you can use pictures and then you don't have to kind of describe how things fit together, you've got pictures to show how it fits together. But, doing different things that you can do to kind of bring people into the process. You want them to be part of the training. You don't want to be just talking at them.